Yo, what's going on, guys? We are back for another JJK chapter, and I'm sort of speechless after this one. Like, I literally just read the chapter. I was like, let me just make the video because I got lots to say about this one. And this has been, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, one of the best chapters of the year so far, in my opinion. So let's just get right into it, because at the end of the last chapter, it was sort of iffy. Is Gojo actually hurt? Is he dead? Is he alive? Just as I predicted, though. Uses his reverse curse technique, but like right away, the people that are watching, like Yuji, they're like, yo, sensei, Gojo. Because like obviously he just sort of got his head cut off, but it doesn't matter because we get this really cool panel underneath what Yuji says, and this is like a top tier panel in my opinion. We get to see Gojo in the middle as he's healing his neck up, and then we get to see a smaller panel off the side of his neck actually healing. Then we get another small panel of Kusakabe. He's like, reverse curse technique, like obviously, and I love it. It's just an anime trope of like the side characters, they always explain what's going on in the fight. It's like, we know he's using reverse curse technique, buddy, like we can see him getting healed, but thanks for letting us know, Kusakabe. And we see another small panel, so we have 3 panels inside of this one, which is just awesome. Like Gege's artwork is at the top tier, like it's probably better than it ever has been in my opinion. Then we have another small panel saying like, as long as he remains within that domain, like he's gonna keep getting hit, man. Like nothing, no reverse curse technique is gonna stop him getting hit. And then we see more of our crew. They're talking Choso, Hakari, and then Kusakabe. But Choso's like, you know, Sukuna doesn't have an enclosed domain, so shouldn't Gojo be able to like escape? And Hakari's like, I mean, yeah, his teleportation technique should like let him be able to get out in a second, but you know, he did just use his domain, so. And then Kusakabe, who I swear is getting more lines than he ever has in the story, but he's talking about how Gojo's teleportation technique is a part of his Limitless, and it's just him like compressing the space in between him and another place. Something like that. That was a fire rhyme though. But I remember, if you guys don't already know who this person is, the Fake Weeb, please subscribe to the Fake Weeb. He makes awesome JJK content. But he literally just made a video about what is like Gojo's like teleportation technique and stuff, and he sort of like, I mean, laid it out exactly like this, and he does a great job explaining it better. But yeah, this is just like, that dude sort of like, he predicted it. There was no reason for them to explain what the teleportation technique does in this chapter, but they did. And you know, I just thought it was pretty funny because, you know, he like just made a video about it and then it happens this week. It's pretty awesome. But he also says, you know, after he uses his domain, like he won't be able to use his curse technique like right away. And we all already know this. Like, I don't understand why Gege keeps like stating this type of stuff again. Like, you know, after you use your domain, you're gonna have a cooldown. You can't use your curse technique. Like, we've heard that, oh my god, like 10, 20 times being said. It's like, I do understand that. And the series is super complicated, so I understand that he has to put this in, you know, so the audience can stay up to date and remember everything. Because I mean, I've read the story since like 2021. Like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on, bro. Like, I've been reading this for a while. Like, I read it, reread it, and still most of the shit don't make no fucking sense. Like Gojo's Limitless technique, like still that's just a jumble of fucking numbers. Like, either way, let's just, I'll stop griping. But we have Miwa talking. She's like, you know, what does that mean? And Kusakabe's like, he's sort of in a pickle right here. And we come back to the fight where Gojo's just getting torn to shreds. Like, he's getting cut up all over. And I'm not sure if this is like a TCB scans like issue or if this is how the panel was actually made, but Gojo is like all blacked out. And I remember I saw something in the spoilers, and I'm not sure if this was right or not, because I try to stay away from spoilers, but when I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see a picture of Gojo all slashed up, I'm like, when am I gonna see the chapter? And I'm not sure if I'm just mistaken or anything, but he's completely blacked out in this. And it might just be blood covering him, obviously, but I'm not sure if it's like being censored or something like that, but it really doesn't matter because Gojo, he's sitting there, he's taking it, and he's thinking, he's like, ah, man, I'm really glad, like when it comes down to it, my infinity is way better than his technique. And bro, we're seeing you get cooked right now, but I love the confidence still either way. And then we see this like super raw panel of Gojo's eyes and like, well, his eye, but he's just covered in blood. And I love the way that Gege like draws blood with his like weird splotchy ink style. Like, I'm pretty sure he does it digitally, but it looks like it's hand drawn with like how like it's splotchy it is and messy it is, which it makes the blood look good, stylized, actually different on like regular, just like black fucking goo coming out of somebody. But yeah, It's just, this is an awesome double page spread. It's like Gojo's getting ripped apart. Sukuna's sitting there laughing, like eating this shit up. He's like, oh man, this fucking idiot, world's strongest sorcerer. Who the fuck are you? I'm history's strongest sorcerer, bro. And history's strongest curse. I'm the king of curses, man. But he's just cutting them up. And I cannot wait for like an exchange of words, because the only exchange we really get is them throwing hands. And we have Gojo trying to run away, obviously, because, you know, he can get away in a split second. But Sukuna's like, no, bro. He jumps like right to him while they're running. He's like, I'm not letting you get away. And they start tossing hands back and forth. And oh my God, bro. Gege's choreography, as usual, like it's spot on. Usually it's sort of hard in some manga to understand what's going on, like how the movements are flowing. And a big gripe I have is it isn't about the JJK, but MHA, man. If you guys are caught up with the manga, holy fuck is it hard to understand what's going on. Like, Horikoshi gotta take a fucking break. But back to the shit. It's so nice to be able to see like this action be able to play out, and you can imagine all the hits in your head. And it's just amazing. Like, this is an animator's, I think, wet dream, this manga. But we see Sukuna, he sort of like counters Gojo. He like first kicks him and then Gojo grabs him. But Sukuna like counters him by like going low and then wrapping up his legs. Also, if you guys like the chapter reviews, want more JJK content and more videos in the future, just please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And back to the video. It's like it reminds like a WWE move or something, but Gojo don't give a fuck. He winds up his fist, puts curse energy on it, and brings it down. Like, obviously Sukuna's gonna dodge it, and he does. He gets out of the way, and he starts thinking, he's like, how is he still like moving this well? Like, I just fucking like cut him up. Like, what? Like, he's using reverse curse technique at maximum output right now, and he's still fighting me? Like, how can he do those two things at once? Like, we saw it earlier with our homies, like Yuji and all of them were like, how is he able to do this? But then we see Gojo, he's talking, he's like, it looks like the heart of this domain is the malevolent shrine, not Sukuna, which it's usually the other way around. It's usually the jujitsu sorcerer is the like center of the domain, and you got to take them out to get rid of the domain, or get rid of the domain's barrier. In this case, which I'm thinking is that you have to destroy Malevolent Shrine to get rid of it. And they even talk about it later, how it's like, it's impossible to do. It's just you can't even comprehend what that thing is because it's not even real. Of course, Gege is just saying this so we can subvert expectations like, oh, you can't destroy the Malevolent Shrine. Well, Gojo's just gonna fucking do it. But either way, we cut back to our boys and Yuji's like, what happens if that shrine gets destroyed? But then Kusakabe, he's like, you know, usually when stuff materializes in people's domains or innate domains, it doesn't really mean much. And they're usually just intangible objects, or like they don't really exist. And then we have Mei Mei, who I love how her only role in this arc is just to televise Gojo's fight. Like, all she does is drop some info on us and then just record the entire fight. Like, which, hey, respect. Like, she's just getting her bag. And I love that, like, Gege's like, yeah, this character, she is not fighting for the good of people, she's fighting for her bag. And still, to the end, she's still just fighting for her bag. But she's like, since Gojo has the 6 eyes and he hasn't like tried to destroy it yet, because, you know, he can see like everything. Like, this man's got like the Mangekyo Sharingan times 20. But they're basically saying that if he could destroy the shrine to get rid of the domain, he would have done it already. That's basically what they're getting at. But Kirara, he's like, I gotta keep, I always mess that up, man. But they're like, you know, so he can't do anything. He's basically fucked. But we cut back to the fight and we hear new shadow style. And Gojo gets down in like that like sword fighter pose we saw Miwa do, we saw Kusakabe do. They'll get down and do that for the new shadow style, like simple domain. And Gojo unleashes his simple domain. So everybody's like, what? He's using a simple domain? Like, what? Even Yuji, he's like, what? He told me that he couldn't do that. And they're like, no, of course he can do that, but he just can't fucking teach it, bro. He's so much of a genius that like stuff like this is so easy for him to do, he can't even explain it. So we've obviously seen Gojo teach like curse energy and all that stuff and how to use it to Yuji, but like the intricacies of it, he doesn't really go into it at all. And obviously Yuji's saying like, he never taught me that. He didn't want to teach me that. And it's just because he can't. He doesn't understand it. I feel like he understands it to a point where he cannot like give it to other people, give the knowledge to other people. And you know, what I thought this sort of likens to is like a singer, really talented singer, you know, they've taken lessons all their lives, but they're obviously just really talented, above and beyond everybody else. Somebody else, same age, same amount of experience as them, they can't sing as well, something like that. So they ask the person, well, how do you do it? And that person, you know, it's really hard to explain something that you do sort of subconsciously. I've learned, like, people ask me like, why do you do this? Why do you do that? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. I just do it because, and I feel like that's like a thing that Gojo's doing. Like, he just does it because he can. So he can just unleash his simple domain. But I am sort of confused on the point, like, he can't teach it, which he was able to teach something as like small and minuscule to him as cursed energy, like the flow and using it, putting it into techniques. I feel like, why couldn't he explain innate domains to Yuji? Which I feel like, I don't know. This might just be Gege just trying to fucking explain it away, explain a plot hole away. But yeah, either way, they're like, why the hell was he in charge of the first years then, man? Like, if he can't teach something like an innate domain or a simple domain, sorry, then why is he in charge of first years? But we already know. It's because he wants to foster the new generation of jujutsu sorcerers to be strong for him. Well, not for him, just like for his general purposes of trying to save the world and make it a better place and stuff like that. It's just like a small comedy like segment that I was like, this sort of has some real meaning. Like, it actually, there is a reason why he's in charge of the first years. But either way, what we see in the fight, Gojo, he's using reverse curse technique to heal himself, but he's still using his simple domain. And everybody's like, yo, like, how does that happen, bro? Like, how are you able to do that? But I'm not sure who's saying this. I feel like it's Kusakabe still, but they're saying like he used simple domain to counter the sure hit effect of Sukuna's domain while using his reverse curse technique to heal himself up. And they're like, I'm not sure how he's able to do this. Like, because like, this is like, it's like parallel processing to the 10th degree or something. Because I mean, Gojo can do almost anything. Like, it literally says at the end of the chapter, common sense does not matter to the battle of the strongest or something like that. Like, common sense for these guys, like, throw that shit out of the window. Like, Choso's talking, throw that shit out of the window, bro. That shit don't matter. But he's like, even against a real domain, a simple domain only buys time. Obviously, we know this from Yuki's fight, but we get to see his simple domain is like breaking up, just like how Yuki's was. But it seems like it's breaking up a lot slower because Gojo's probably a lot stronger than Yuki. I mean, she is, even though they both are like special grade, he's a different type of special grade. Like, we all know that. But then they keep fighting, and this, oh my God, we get more raw ass panels. Like, Gojo, Sukuna, this fight, when it gets animated in about 10 years, maybe, like, just being, that's generous, actually, just being generous in 10 years. But like, when this gets animated, this will be the like hypest battle of all time. Like, you guys remember Demon Slayer season 1? Like, I don't know what episode it is, but when he uses the Hinokami Kagura for the first time, the hype around that episode was the reason I watched Demon Slayer. So like, the hype around this fight, which I feel like is 10 times hyper, the animation quality can be 10 times better. This fight will make Jujutsu Kaisen probably be like world breaking. I'm not sure, because like the first season was amazing. You read the manga for the first season, it's mid. Like, I mean, past the first season of the manga, we go to Shibuya, and that shit's amazing. Culling Game's amazing. This fight, amazing. So this is like just a random tangent thought that, like, the JJK anime is set for some big shit. Especially just the fights in Shibuya and the Culling Games. Like, we had some amazing fights, man. Like, in this one, I feel like this fight is just the best in the series. Like, to action, to like actually explaining things. Because usually we have fights where shit don't get explained, but everything is getting explained, and the pacing does not get hit at all. Like, the pacing for this is just beautiful. It's so easy to read along with. It's quick, like, especially because there's lots of fighting in most of these chapters that is really quick to read, but like, you want to keep watching, you want to keep reading. But that was too long of a tangent anyways. We get to see Gojo's feet, and around, I'm pausing it. Not that way, but around his feet, we see the simple domain like dissipating, and it goes away at this point, and Sukuna slashes Gojo again up. And before his innate domain went away, or his simple domain, sorry, I keep getting innate domain and simple domain mixed up. Like, it's too many domains. Like, we got domain expansion, domain amplification. Like, can we separate the words a little bit? But before like his domain went away, Gojo's like smiling. It looks like he's having a good time. After he gets slashed, he's like, huh? Like, what? And I mean, I'm not sure if he was just not paying attention to his domain, but he should have noticed once it goes away, he's gonna get slashed. But I mean, maybe it's just because he was about to hit Sukuna, if it looked like. But either way, he gets slashed. But Choso, he's like, I told you, man, that simple domain don't do shit. I literally saw Yuki get fucked right in front of my eyes, bro. Not like that. Not like that. Fucked as in she got murdered. I could have worded that better, but I'm not going to. And then we see Sukuna. He's like, man, this is getting tedious, bro. Like, this is getting really annoying. And that's just because he can't, you know, use his domain, which is like almost a one-hit kill every time, to like kill Gojo faster. I feel like it's just like, he doesn't want to throw hands. He just wants to use his domain and get this shit over with. Even though I feel like he's enjoying himself and he wants to keep fighting. Because, you know, we get to see him smiling and stuff a few times in the chapter. He likes to fight, obviously. But we get to see everybody's like, huh? What the fuck? We see reaction panels and they're all like, yo, what's going on? Why isn't he healing himself? Because we get to see Gojo's throwing hands again, but he's still scarred up, scratched up. And they're like, you know, what's going on? Like, I thought he had infinite curse energy. And even Yuta, he's like, no, I told you, he has infinite cursed energy. And the dude with the mask, I still don't know his name. I always forget to like look it up, and I'm not going to, because I gotta stay true to myself, man. No, but he basically says, you know, like I said, bro, normally he would be fine. Like right after using your domain, you use reverse curse technique to the max, which usually costs like double your cursed energy. And then you're using your innate domain or simple domain. He's like, you know, he can't take this forever. And Sukuna's still attacking. Like, we got to take into a fact that this is still going to go on. And they think that Gojo's cursed energy is gone. Or like he's run out, which obviously we see later, it's not. But, you know, this is just normal anime shit. Like, they always got to show the reactions of the crowd, and they always got to explain shit to us. Like, I understand the confusing series again, but like, bro, I want to see hands get thrown, bro. And it might just because Gege don't want to like draw an entire chapter of just fighting. Like, there has to be some dialogue. But we get to see Gojo's simple domain is like dissipating again. And I was confused the first time I read through, because I was like, what are these like white shards on the ground? And I'm like, oh, that's just the visualization of his simple domain. And then we get a really interesting panel because, like, I mean, Gege has been on the top of his game for his art, but we get this really sort of simplistic panel, which is just no backgrounds at all. It's all white. Just Gojo on the top half of the panel, and the bottom half is just a few words of text. But it's just Gojo getting hit again with a scratch, and it says, is Satoru Gojo about to lose? Like, we know, bro. We know he's not gonna lose. But like, we don't know if he's gonna lose at the same time, you know? It's up in the air. But right now, these are just sort of just typical anime tropes during big fights of, you know, the main character or the person that we're rooting for is down, and the enemy's up. And then we're gonna flip dynamics soon, where our main character is up and the bad guy's down, and then it'll probably flip again. Which, I mean, I sort of think that next chapter, because at the end of this one we see Gojo sort of in control. Because I mean, he even said like, my Limitless is better than his technique. But I do think that we see Sukuna be on top again next time. Like, whoever's like leading the battle. Like right at the start, it was Sukuna. He was the one that was like in charge of the battle, it seemed like. And then it turns to Gojo for a little bit at the end of this chapter. And then maybe next chapter it'll turn to Sukuna again. Because, like, you know, Gege does flip the script a lot. Like, he does do this shit a lot where, you know, you expect one thing, the next time it's completely different. It's just like Chainsaw Man, where you never know what's going to fucking happen next. Like, maybe Gojo could die next chapter. That's why people were actually thinking like Gojo was dead. Because like, we saw what happened to Nobro. We saw what happened to Nanami. Like, this shit can just happen out of nowhere. Like, especially with Gege. But we cut from this. We see Gojo, he runs forward, and what it caught me so off guard, bro. He runs, jumps, and hugs Sukuna, like with his legs around Sukuna's waist. It seems like he's like hugging him like a baby would, or like how your kid would run up to you after they haven't seen, like, to jump into your arms. And then he like wraps himself in. Like, this is the part which is really, really interesting, because he later he takes an attack, he leans back and he shoots his red. And if he was gonna do that the whole time, why wouldn't he just jump onto him and then shoot the red? Why would he jump onto him, like hug him, bring his face next to his ear and say something, what it seems like he's saying something? Because, like, I'm not sure, because there's no speech bubbles. There's no speech bubbles. There's nothing that's indicating they're talking to each other. Like, why does he want to give Sukuna a big hug like that? Like, even though he's just like gonna lean back anyways and shoot his gun, like, or shoot his red, sorry. But like, I don't understand. Either way, Sukuna, he's like, yo, that speed is insane. Because, I mean, he thought that Gojo has like no curse technique left, or no cursed energy left, because, you know, he wasn't reverse curse techniquing, or reverse curse techniquing. What the fuck is that? That is my new term, bro. In the use of reverse curse technique, he's reverse curse techniquing. But he says, Gojo, he's like, curse technique reversal. See? different way around. And he leans back with his finger gun out, you know, like he always does for Red. And Yuta, he's like, he can't do that. Oh, wait. And he comes to a realization. He wasn't using reverse curse technique on his body to heal. He's using the reverse curse technique to heal up his exhausted curse technique. So he basically used the reverse curse. He was reverse cursing to get his curse technique back, to get Limitless back. And we see it, it's back. He's still hurt because he hasn't reverse curse techniqued. See, I'm coming up with words now, man. But we see the final panel, double page, and it's Gojo, Red, and he just looks so fucking badass, man. Scratches all over him. He's only got one eye open because the other one's like slashed out or whatever. And he shoots the Red right at Sukuna, and he goes flying back into the Malevolent Shrine. And this comes back to the thing where they say, you can't destroy the Malevolent Shrine. Well, he literally hit the Malevolent Shrine, so it has to be able to get destroyed. Like, you literally can see, like, rubble coming off of it. Like, it has to be able to be destroyed, and Gojo sort of knows that, I feel like. So that preamble about you can't destroy it to get rid of the technique or whatever, Gojo is, I bet next chapter, Gojo destroys the shrine. He gets out, Sukuna uses Maharaga or some shit, the 10 shadows, then he goes back up. You know, it's just gonna be a big fight of back and forth, one up in each other, dick length contest. That's all it's gonna be, I feel like. But we see Sukuna he's bloody on one side of his body and he's like smiling. So you know he's having a good time right now. And Gojo is like, oh, geez, man, what a pain in the ass. And end of the chapter, the last thing says, you know, common sense means nothing in the battle between the strongest. Just like I was talking about earlier. Like, the common sense that these regular Jujutsu sorcerers have is out of the window, literally. Like, you do not have to think about like anything normal because these guys are gonna like flip the script. Like I said, like they are gonna do something crazy. And they do. Like, Gojo's able to use reverse curse technique while he's using a simple domain. Can he use like an innate domain? I don't think that's possible. Actually, it's not. No. But can he use like domain amplification at the same time? Can he use Red at the same time of all of these things? Like, I mean, I feel like he could. From what we're being shown here, Gojo is stronger than Sukuna right now. Last chapter, I could easily say that Sukuna is stronger than Gojo. But this chapter, they flipped the script. I'm still waiting to see Maharaga and the 10 Shadows technique from Sukuna because that is going to be, like, I feel like it's going to be so awesome when Gojo sees that he has Megami's technique. And, like, oh my gosh, bro. Like, he's already fighting Megami and he's completely fine with it. Because he's like, you know, we'll get him out later. I'll deal with that shit later. I got to get rid of you right now. But either way, that was the end of the chapter. There is a lot of shit that's going to happen next chapter, which is after a break week, sadly. But yeah, this one's a big one. I feel like this fight can last like 10 more chapters, even though it definitely won't. I feel like it could just because like the action, the choreography, the fucking badassery that fucking Gojo and Sukuna both like emit. Like, they both say like the craziest one-liners. Like, Gojo's like, man, this is getting annoying. And Sukuna earlier was talking about how this is fucking tedious, man. Like, these guys are just too fucking cool. And I mean, I hope to see my boy Gojo come out on top, but you already know that 10 Shadows technique, like, he's just holding it in his pocket right now. Like, I feel like Sukuna, he's just like testing Gojo out, using his domain expansion, using his regular curse technique next. And maybe he's just gonna pull up the Maharaga. Like, who knows? Like, maybe once Sukuna goes down in the fight, like he gets hurt a little bit more than this, he'll just be like, okay, fuck this, bro. Pull out the Maharaga, bro. Pull out the 8 handles. And I mean, that would be super cool because can Gojo overcome Maharaga and its like ability to adapt? Because his technique is literally called Limitless. There's no limits to it. If the name is implying what I think it means, there's no limits to it. The Maharaga can adapt to anything. So if there is one thing in this world that I know is that usually, like in anime, things that can adapt and or absorb stuff always have a top, like a limit. They always have a limit, always. And especially with like storing stuff, like in Fire Force, the Charon, he like takes in kinetic energy and is able to put it out. Like, he can't hold an infinite amount of energy, you know? Just like I don't think the Maharaga can adapt infinitely, like how Gojo's Limitless should be able to go infinitely. So it's like, I'm not really sure about that kind of stuff. It's a lot, like, you could say Maharaga's fucking bullshit works like over Limitless. Like, Gojo actually does have a limit, which would be so fucking annoying, because why name the technique Limitless, bro? Why? If he has a limit, which it doesn't seem like he does from this chapter at least. But that's all the rambling I'm going to do for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you made it this far, and peace.